What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Tableau tutorial series. This is our very last video in the series, and today we'll be doing an entire project. Now, if you're watching this video, I hope that you watch the other 4 videos in this series just so you can get the basics down. You kind of know what you're doing. This won't be a crazy hard project. This is a beginner tutorial series, so I'm trying to make this super easy so you can follow along. Nothing super complicated, I promise. And if you were wanting to go above and beyond and just make a lot of different dashboards or try a lot of different things, there's a ton of data in here. And so I'll show you some of the things that I would do, as we go through it, of the things that I would be looking at and some of the different visualizations that I might do as well. But again, in this video, we're going to be sticking to a lot of the basics, but I'll switch over my screen in just a second. I will show you the final product, and then we will actually walk through step by step of how to do the entire dashboard. And at the end, you should have a completed project that you can add to your portfolio or, just share on LinkedIn if you want to do that as well. With that being said, let's jump over my screen and let's get started. All right, so let's get me off screen and show you what we're going to be working on today. This is the final dashboard that we're actually going to be building. And so it's nothing crazy, right? I'm sure you have seen all of these things before. And I'm just going to help you kind of build it out, show you what to do, the buttons to click. And it's really going to be a simple walkthrough. By the end of this, you should be able to do all these things very easily. And I highly encourage looking at the data and looking at these visualizations and seeing what else you can do with it. There's a lot of different colors, a lot of different visualizations that you can do with this data. I'm just showing you this today. And so the more you go out there and the more you do this on your own and you mess around with stuff and choose different things and see how it all works, the better you're going to get. And so I highly, highly encourage doing that. So what we are going to be working with today is an Airbnb data set. I'm going to show you that in just a second. And then I'm going to show you the data and we're going to just jump right into it. All right, so this is the data set that we are going to be using. This is the Seattle Airbnb Open data set. And let's go down really quick. There's 3 different CSVs in here. And so this is some of the data that we're going to be working with, some date on listings and some pricing. And then there's the actual listing that shows the actual street address, the location, the price, the bedrooms, all of these good stuff. And then there's a reviews. And it has, some comments and, talks about some of the reviews. So this is what we're going to be working with, but you don't have to go in here and download it. I have already combined all of these CSVs into one. I've put it on the GitHub, so I'll have a link below. So you can just click on that and you don't have to do all the stuff that I did to get this set up. Just so you know, this is from 2016. So this data set is a little bit old. If you want to, you can come right here and I will leave this link as well. And you can get the data set from, what is this, a couple weeks ago. They are continuing to update this. This is always updated. And so you can go ahead and download these, but some of these are these csv.gz. So you may need to convert it. I don't want to go through that process in the video. And so I am just going to go with what is literally in Kaggle. And use that. But if you want to have an updated one for your project, I just advise you to go in here and grab it yourself. And that should be perfectly good. So go ahead and download the dataset from the GitHub and we should be good to go. So this is the Excel that I was just talking about. This has all of our CSVs in one place. This is, an Excel workbook. So in this reviews, actually, let's start with the listings because that's kind of where it all stems from. We have our listing and the data in here is, really extensive. There's a lot of data in here. So let's get over really quick. The listing refers to the actual home that they're renting out, the Airbnb. So it shows their location. And there's a lot more location information over here. I'm getting into it in just a second. So there's the neighborhood, the city, state, zip code, all stuff that, may be useful. There's the latitude and longitude. It shows what type of property it is, so that's really good. Right over here, it has how many bathrooms, bedrooms, and beds. Sometimes if it's a 5-bedroom house, it has 7 beds. So that's why there's those 2 different fields. I don't know if you're familiar with Airbnb and what they have on there, but just something to note. They have the price. This is the price per day. There's a weekly price, a monthly price, and if there's a deposit needed. And then a cleaning fee as well. So a bunch of financial data that's, super useful. We go into it a little bit, but there's so much you can do with that, if you want to dig into that. And that's kind of it. The rest of it's pretty useless. And there's there's so much data in here. Almost, more than half by far is nothing you would put in any type of visualization. And this is pretty common. You're not going to get data every column where you're going to be able to use it. A lot of times it's just a lot of useless junk. And so you have to know what you're looking for and know, what's actually useful. So that's the listing. Then we have reviews. Now, what's really a little bit confusing in here, and something that you just need to kind of understand about the data, and something that if you get a data analyst job, you need to understand your data, because it's very easy to come in here and say, okay, there's an ID field, and here's an ID field. So that means that those are the same. Well, not in this case. This ID field is actually the reviews ID, not the reviewer ID. That refers to like the person. This is the reviews ID. This listing ID is the actual ID right there. So really important to note. And then then they just have their comment there, what they left as a review. And then on the calendar, I don't know why I'm scrolled down. We have this listing ID again. So again, that listing ID is equal to the ID in this listing table. And we have a date and a price. So this refers to a specific location. And on this day, they got $85 for it. Somebody rented it out. And so then there's these like T's and F's. Let's try to find a blank one really quick. Here's a blank one. So there's these T's and F's. The T means that it was taken. The F means that it's vacant. I don't know exactly what it means, what the T and F means, but that we can deduce that much from this. And so you can see when and how much this person was making, or this home made in that time. So really, really good data in here. There's a lot to work with. And so we're just going to be I'll give you a little bit of a use case for it in a second. And then we're going to start trying to answer some of those, building out some of the visualizations for that use case. Again, you could have 20 different use cases for this data, or more, honestly, for this data, where you could build out different dashboards and different reports, literally with just this data. But, we're doing a pretty general, broad project. And so it's hard to answer all of them. So let's jump over to Tableau. We're going to get started on this, and we are going to build out everything. All right, so let's come right here. This is a Microsoft Excel. We'll open that up. Do this one. We will open it and give it just a second. It says it's executing the query. It's pulling the data in. All right, so we have our calendar, our listing, and our reviews. Those are the different tabs at the bottom. We're going to start with the listing. This is the kind of the main one. Has I didn't show you, but there's about 3,600 locations that they had in there. Let's just have it update automatically. I don't know why we need to click on that, but so we have this listings. We have our calendar and our reviews. What we're going to do is we're going to come in here, and we're going to open it as we did in our very last video for the joins. So now that we've opened it, we can kind of go in here and we can do the joins as needed. And so let's go over here, and we're going to, let's start with calendar. I'm going to put it right there. That was super slow. I apologize. All right, let's wait for it to get the data. Start setting everything up. Did not think it would take this long. I apologize. No, take your time. So let's click on here, and right now it has the join based on the price, which obviously is not going to work. And if you remember, there is no ID in this calendar. It's just the listing ID. We can actually look right here. There's just the listing ID. So we're actually going to put listing ID is equal to ID. And right down here, we can see that we have a lot of well, you can't see it, but we show that there is a lot of data. And so we know that that is correct. We know that that is now pulling in data correctly because it's showing up down here. So that's a good thing. Now, in this listings, there are about 3,600 listings. And so that all the data that's in listings is going to be in there. But on the calendar, because we converted from a CSV to an Excel workbook, it isn't able to store as much information. So some of the ones in calendar may have gotten cut off. So we can just keep it this inner join because we know that if it's in listings, it is going to be in calendar. We know that there may be some in calendar that aren't in listings. So if we really, if we really wanted to, we could do a full outer or something like that. I haven't really thought through this as I'm talking through it in my head, but we know that everything that's in listing is going to be in calendar. And so, we don't really need to do anything other than an inner join. And we can also pull in these reviews. And it's going to do the same thing as before, where it's just kind of pulling in the data. And it defaults to ID equals ID. Now we know that that is not correct because the ID in here is referring to the review ID. We need to go to the listings ID. So we need the ID to be able to, be part of that listings ID. If we do the ID, it goes down to 2,555 rows. If we do how it's supposed, and because that's just, it's random luck. There happen to be some numbers that are in both fields that tie together. If we do the correct one, where we hit the listing ID, it bumps it up to, I think, 2,373,000, maybe more than that, 23 million rows, right? A lot more. And so it's super important to get these joins right, to tie them together on the right fields. If you just do it based off what Tableau tells you, because it has that automated, it goes into these fields and says, okay, these are the same exact column name. So they're most likely going to be what you're looking for. Well, it was incorrect in this point. So it's really important to check those things and make sure you're pulling in the right data. Again, we're going to keep it that inner join. If you wanted to, try to see if there's any other data that correlate. We're keeping it simple today, but sometimes you need to join on multiple things. So just, a tip. So let's get out of here. And we are good to go. So this is our listings plus Tableau full project. That's what we'll be working with. And we were able to tie all three of these, as you call them, tables or sheets or whatever you want to call them. We were able to tie them together. So let's go over here to our first worksheet. And let's see. All right, so this says Tableau public only works with less than 15 million rows of data. We have 23 million rows of data. That's a problem. And when I did this before, it didn't do that. So we're going to work through this together. So this is date reviews. I believe this is date for the calendar, which is going to be a lot of rows of data. And so I'm sure that's part of it. Let's see. Let's do years. We only want 2016. Oops. We only want 2016. Let's do okay. Let's see what that does. Let's see if that gets us under what we need. We only want 2016 data anyways. So if it's in 2017, we were going to take it out anyway. So we'll see if that gets us underneath. I have absolutely no, if this ends up taking like 20 minutes, I will just cut it and, you won't have to wait as long as I'm waiting. So let's see how long it takes. All right, so it took about 20 minutes and it did absolutely nothing. One thing I do know is that we don't actually use this review tables at all. It's just for demonstration purposes. So we're going to remove that. And let's see if that helps us in any way. Because if it does, we're just going to keep it as is. The reviews table is really just for demonstrating how to do the joins, but we weren't actually using any of the data for any of the visualizations. Although you could. Again, I'm going to see how long this takes, and I'll cut ahead. All right, so that worked perfectly. It apparently took out all the data that we needed, or all the rows that we needed to get under that level. Again, I was just doing that to show you that joins, how you needed to change the columns to make sure that it joined properly. We don't actually use it for any of the visualizations, so their end product is going to be totally fine. I don't know why this didn't happen to me when I created this whole thing already. So I'm just going to move forward because I make mistakes. So let's keep moving. The first one that we are going to make is that colorful one. I'll probably pop it up on screen so you can see it. Well, if I remember, I'm going to pop it up on screen. It's the colorful one. It's the price by zip code. So we're going to be looking at these zip codes and kind of see, how expensive is each zip code. And before we actually start, I just remembered I want to talk to you about the use case for this data. I want to imagine that you're working for somebody and they're like, hey, where, I want to start an Airbnb business. I want to know where I should go. Where should I buy a home, put it up on Airbnb and start renting it out? Where's the best place? What are some of the factors that I should be looking at? And so that's kind of what our use case is. So some of the things that he cares about are things like bedrooms, location, which is really important, and how much price he's actually going to get. How much money can he charge? And so he's trying to optimize that to make sure that whatever rental he gets, he can make the most profit from, instead of choosing something that, he thinks would work, but, in the end, he's actually not making that much money. So those things are important. So that's our use case. We're trying to help this guy out, help him find a really good Airbnb. So let's take a look at these zip codes real quick. We have quite a few of them. And there's one that's null. We'll exclude that. Or if it doesn't have a zip code, we'll just exclude those because they're not going to show up on these visualizations anyways. And so we want to look at the price. So we just want to find the price, which should actually be down here. And not the sum. No, we want to look at the average price. And let's order that. This is great. So this is the most expensive one, zip code 98134 at $206 for the average price. But let's give that some color really quick. Where's the zip code? It's up here. So let's take that zip code. We're going to put it right over here. We're going to do color, and it's going to give it some assorted colors. Now, these colors are going to, when we do the map in just a little bit, these colors will match what we're doing in there. And so, I like to try to color coordinate things. We're not going too crazy with the colors today. So this is our very first visualization. Congratulations. It is complete. So we can label this one and we can just do price by zip code. And I'll make that bold. I don't know. I usually like it bold. We'll apply. We'll do like that, and boom. First one is done. And this is our starting place to say, hey, person who's looking to buy this Airbnb, here are the zip codes where they are able to charge the most for their Airbnb. So let's go over to the second sheet, and we are going to be doing the map. And so map is pretty easy, but it's pretty easy once you actually get the data that you need. Although there's a lot of different data that you can use for the actual map right here. You need something that shows the location, and there's a lot of things that show location in here. In fact, they already provide a latitude and longitude, and then at the bottom, they generated a latitude and longitude from some different fields. And then there's just a bunch of different states, there's zip codes. There are, I think another one, like country. There's a lot of location data in here. So which one do we want to use? We want to stay consistent. We don't want to deviate from that and start using different longitude and latitudinal coordinates, because that could throw off our results completely. We want to stay consistent with what we're using. So we actually want to use this zip code. But when we pull it up here, it's going to give us basically the same, it's going to show these zip codes, but we are going to, right over here, we're going to click on this one, and now it's going to separate them out. So now we have all of these, kind of separated out. What you might get when you first do this is it might look like this. You may have to zoom in. I know that happened to me the other time. Let me go to here. That's what happened to me just when I first did it. So know that that may happen. And we want to change the colors the exact same way that we did them before. So we're just going over here, we're doing color, and these colors do, they do or should match up with the other ones. Let me exclude this. Let me see if it does. 98134, that's the blue. And right over here, 98134, that's a blue. I believe they are going to be the same. Yep. And so just scrolling back, if you look at the zip code on the far right, they are the same. So if you look at like this section right over here, I just wanting to make sure I'm not going crazy before I get into this and realize I'm not correct at all. So now what we want is, this doesn't really give us any information. If I was just to glance at this map, I would have no idea what you're trying to show me, any information off this. So we want to show some actual information. So first thing that we're going to do is we're going to actually add the label to this so that you can see it. When you're going over here and you see, okay, here's this zip code, in the dashboard when we create it, you can click on this. But if you just want to do it visually without having to click anywhere, you'll be able to see, okay, 98134, that's right here. So this location right here is, able to charge a lot of money. It's probably a really nice neighborhood. So, and we can back that up by putting the average price. So these two visualizations are they really go hand in hand. We're going to add, oops, not the sum. This one needs to be the average. So you go to this measure, the sum, go to average, and there you go. And these should match. So this should be 206.6. I'm looking at the average price right here. And then we go over here, 98134, 206.6. So this all matches, and we can actually change that size a little bit if you want to actually get it in, get it within each of these things. Adjust it as you see fit. I think that's fine right there. No need to mess with it anymore. All right, so let me see. I think that is everything for this one. I don't know if I want to add anything else. No, I'm going to keep it how it is. So that is our second visualization. Again, these ones are directly correlated. And there's just different ways to visualize it. This one you can see actually on the map where it is and the average price. This one you can see from highest to low. So again, sometimes when you're doing these visualizations, you're going to have these accompanying visualizations in your dashboard. That's very normal. So let's move over to the third one. And for this third one, something that our guy was looking at is he's like, okay, well, I'm thinking about listing it on Airbnb, but I also want to live in it. So I want to know the best times to actually, put it on the market for people to be able to use. And so I was like, okay, man, no problem. Let's take a look at when are people spending the most money in Airbnbs. And we actually had that calendar. If you remember, let's see, this calendar. So we have this available, the date, the listing, all of that stuff. And let's look at the date in here. And we obviously don't want it like this. We want it to be more of a time series. And we're going to be doing that based off of the price for the calendar. So let's go see if we can find that really quick. Okay, here's the price. Where is that calendar one? Let me see. Okay, there's the calendar. Oh, here. All right, totally forgot where that was supposed to be. Oof, that looks terrible. Okay. Let's see. Let's start working on this because this needs some work, obviously. This is the worst visualization I have ever seen. So we need to work on this a little bit. What we need to do is we need to change, we need to change the way that these dates are seen. So right here is, these are two separate things. So if I go right here and I do by quarter, it's just going to change the quarters here, right? That isn't really helpful. We actually want to keep the year here. What we want to do it is by year. We want to separate it by year. But we want to separate it. Let's just do, I don't know, let's try week and see what it looks like. Okay, this is great. This is what we're looking at. Again, if we went back and changed this to like quarter, it changed it quarter and then changed it to week, it would show the quarters, but it wouldn't show everything, right? This isn't all the data that we need. And so, you really need to make sure that you're doing this correct. By default, it's almost always year, but if you're looking at it via quarter, so like, let's say somebody comes in, you say, hey, what quarters, I want to break these out by quarters, and not year over year. That's how you would do this. But in the year, we want to break it out by the week. And you see this huge drop off at the end. Well, that is actually because the data doesn't go past that. There's just like 1 day of data or one week of data in here with actual with January of 2017 data. So it just drops off because this is a sum. So it only adds up to like 591,000 compared to like the 2 million. So we want to get rid of that. And how do we do that? Let's see. I think it's filter. Is it format? No, it's not format. What am I thinking? Bear with me. Let's see. A filter. Well, I was looking for it. I just couldn't find it. Let's bring it back to the 31st. Let's see if that fixes what we need. Perfect. That's all you had to do. And the reason that this is helpful, and oftentimes you'd have several years worth of data in here. And then you could even do something like this one where it has multiple lines. The reason that this is helpful is because if I'm telling my friend, I'm going to say it's a friend or business partner, whatever you want to use this use case for. I'm going to tell him, hey, the beginning of January all the way until like, even February, it's like really low. It's half. So there's not a lot of people traveling because everyone travels when? At the end of the year. So in November, December for the holidays to visit family, and then in the summer for vacations, I would tell him just based off this one thing, I would say, hey, over the summer and then at the end of the year and during the holidays, that's when I would be renting out your Airbnb. Okay. So just this one very simple visualization can help him understand the best times to do that. That may have been intuitive. You may have already known that, but you can prove it with the data, which is always really helpful. And let's see, is there anything else that we need to do with this? I'm just going to label it, and I'm going to say revenue for year. Let's do bold, do apply. There we go. Did I label this last one? I didn't. Let's label that last one. And we'll do price per zip code. Price per zip code. We'll just keep it at that. Just keep it simple. And let's do that. All right. I believe we have 2 more. So we have done 3 of them. We got the zip codes. We've got the the time of the year. Now, something else that he was wanting to know is, just how things affect it, and something that's going to affect the price of the actual Airbnb is going to be the amount of bedrooms. So the larger the house, the more bedrooms, the more it's going to cost, typically. So we can take a look at that. Let's pull in these bedrooms, and that will be our columns. No, it won't. What we need to do, and so I knew this was going to happen. I just forgot it until right now. This right now is actually it's a value, right? So it's a number, and that's totally reasonable because if we go right here, we do count distinct. That's because there's only 7 values, right? It goes, there's 0 bedrooms, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all the way up to 7 bedrooms. Right now, it has it as a numerical value. We want to change that to create it as these measure names, not a value. So we're going to remove this. We're going to go right down here. We're going to click this drop down, and we're going to say convert to dimension. And so Now we're going to add it as a dimension. So there, that looks much more normal. Really quick, I'm gonna keep these in here for a second, but we're gonna get rid of these nulls and zeros because if a home has 0 bedrooms, that's a problem. And so we want to look at the price again. Let's go down here in the listings. It should be the price. Now this is the price for the location per day. If you want to look at monthly or stuff like that, they have that data. But we're just going to do the price, the average price, not the sum. Although this is helpful, so just really quick before we change it, this is going to show you which ones are bringing in the most money. It also may show you which ones are the most common. Those are all different visualizations that we can do, but the one that brings in the most money, that brought in that has $63 million worth of listings. So they all add up. Those 1 bedrooms are doing phenomenal. Half of that are 2 bedrooms at 30 million, 3 bedrooms at 18 million, and so on and so forth. So there's a ton of 1 bedroom ones. We could even keep that in there, if we wanted to. And then we do something similar later, but you can keep something like this in there. What we will do really quick though is we're gonna do the same thing that we've been doing, is keeping average. And we are going to get rid of this because if it doesn't have the bedrooms, that's not helpful to us. And if it has 0 bedrooms, that's genuinely a problem. I will not be renting an Airbnb with my family that has 0 bedrooms in it. So now we have this, and it would be really helpful to be able to see that in the visualization. I mean, it's just kind of hard to see it as is. I mean, it just does not hurt to add that right here. Do a label. Why is it angled like that? Maybe I just need to move it out more. That looks much better. That's the average price. That cannot be right. That's the sum, that's why. So let's go over here. Let's make that average as well. Much better, because if the price was $3 million for a 3 bedroom, I would not be going there. So this is really, really useful information for our friend, right? If he wants to, get into that 1 bedroom area, you're not going to be making a lot of money. It may be low cost up front, but he's not going to be making a lot of money. It significantly goes up when you reach these 5 and 6 bedroom homes, which makes sense. I mean, if it has 5 or 6 bedrooms in it, it's probably a really large, really nice home, and you can charge a lot more money. And our friend is extremely wealthy. He can buy whatever he wants. And so he may be looking at these larger ones, seeing that there's a much higher return on his investment, the higher and the more bedrooms he goes. So we're going to keep it just as it is. And let me see if there's anything else that we want to do with this. No, we're going to keep it just like this. And the last one is by far the easiest. And we actually just discussed it a little bit. We want to know, what's his competition look like? So for the bedrooms specifically. So let's go back up to the bedrooms. We want that one to be right here in our rows. So we show these, and then we just want to count of how many listings there are. So we can do that via the listings ID. So here's our listings. Each ID represents 1 location or 1 home. So we're going to do that right here. That looks absolutely terrible. That looks terrible. What am I doing wrong here? Oh, let me see. One thing we need to do is we want to get rid of these nulls and zeros. Do that really quick. And then we don't want to do just the ID because I'm realizing now what I'm doing. I need to convert this to a numeric so we can do a count on it. So let's, let me see what is happening. This is terrible. All right, let's put this back. Let me see if I can just do an attribute. Let's do the count. And let's do text. No, it needs to be a distinct count, because that's basically like a count of the numbers themselves, not each individual ID. Okay, it took some figuring out. I'm going to keep that in there because you guys need to see. A lot of you guys like seeing when I make mistakes, so you know it makes it feel like when you make mistakes, it's okay. And I'm all about that. So I'm leaving that in there. You guys can see me fail a little bit. I just forgot how to do that for a second. And this is exactly what we're looking for, right? It showed us in that visualization that we were looking at earlier before we switched it to the average price. This is showing us that there are, for 1 bedrooms, there's 1,800 one bedroom, 2 that have 483, 3 that have 206, 4 that have 55, only 5 that have 20, and 6 that have 5. So the more you go up, the less and less it is, or the less and less competition there's going to be. Now, is there a lot of demand for 4 bedroom, 5 bedroom, 6 bedroom? That's for our friend to figure out. Well, maybe we'll help them out with that later with the data. You know, we could look at the reviews that we had. There's so much data in here, and we could absolutely figure that out. But for what it's worth, we're giving him this initial stuff, and he'll have follow-up questions for us later. That's how it always works, I promise. So now we're good with this one. Let's label this one. Did I label the last one? I will go back and look. Distinct. I'm going to butcher this one. I'm going to do distinct count of bedroom listings. That may not make sense at all, but we're keeping it. So we're going to do bedroom, apply, okay. Let me see if I added the label on this one. I didn't. Let me do that real quick. We'll do average price per bedroom. Again, oops. You didn't see that. I'm just going with whatever is coming to my head. This probably wouldn't be what I would keep if I had this or like an actual project, but it works for now. So we have our 5 visualizations, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And let's create our dashboard. That's going to be this button right here. So we're going to click that. We are going to go right here. And we're going to say automatic because we want to use this entire area. And so now we're just going to start, pulling them over. And I'm just going to start from the very first one and go to the very last one. Keep it really simple. So this very first one, we'll pull it over. It's going to take up the entire space until you start adding all the other ones. We'll include this one right here. And well, let's leave it as it is. We'll adjust it once it gets to its final place. Now we have number 3. We'll add this one on this side. It looks terrible right now, but give it a second. And then we have number 4. We're going to add that across the top. Okay, it's already starting to look a little better. And maybe you don't have to keep this in here, but you definitely can. Let's start to adjust things a little bit. Oops. Okay, let's see if I can zoom in one more. No, I'm going to do it just like that. Actually, let me see. If I can make it even just a little bit closer. Perfect. That's the best you're going to get. If you didn't see, I used this magnifying, and then I could click on the area that I wanted to see. So we're going to keep that just like that. We're going to move this over because that is definitely not as important. And then we're going to move this way over as well. So keep it just like that. Again, this is something where if you want to, you can click on this. I don't know why. I can't remember how to get this connected, but you definitely can. Okay. I was just clicking on the wrong one. That's why. That is why. But you can click over here and it'll filter based on. So if I go to this one, oops, dang. Oh geez, what am I doing? Oh, this is a travesty. Okay, let's try to get this back. All right, I'm not touching it, guys. You get the gist. You can mess around with it yourself. I'm not messing this up. Okay, so the next thing we need to add is the very last one. That's going to go right up here. And then we're just going to kind of move it off to the side. And let's see. I'm going to add, this caption. If you've never seen something like this before, And I actually want to make this bigger as well. Geez, give me a second. It's kind of lagging a little bit. And make this a little bit tall. Man, maybe I don't want it as wide, but I definitely want it a little taller. Give it a second. Yeah, let me scooch this back. Just like that. That's fine. We can keep it like that. In my original one, I didn't have this. You can get rid of this if you want. You know, you can, just exit out right here if you want to do that. But there you have it. This is the entire thing. So we started from the very start. We started with this one, then this one. Did some, and this is, all of our zip code work. Then we took a look at the calendar where we looked at the price and did some time series visualization. And then we're looking at the bedrooms and the count of bedrooms. And so this should be really helpful for our friend. It should be an initial dashboard to get him going. And once he sees this, he's going to have a million other questions and he's going to want another dashboard for different data that's in there. He's going to ask about, okay, well, what if I want to do it weekly, or, I want to rent it out for the month, or, how many reviews are people, 5-star reviews are people giving on, 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom. These are all things that, he may ask and then we'd have to build out. In the real world, this is what happens all the time. They make a request and then they're like, oh, this is great, but I also want this. So, your friend is going to be right in line with just about everyone else that has ever gotten a dashboard for work or for personal use. With that being said, this is it. We have done the entire thing. Now, if you want to share this, it is super, super easy to share. And I'm going to try to remember how to share it. So we're going to do save to Tableau public as, and we're going to do this and we're going to make it, let's do Airbnb. Is it a capital B? Is it like that? No, that doesn't look right. Airbnb, we'll do full project and we'll save. And that is being created right now. And I will save this. So if you guys want to go look at this, you can. And I'll provide a link in the description as well for that and see if yours looks similar to mine or better than mine. Give it a second because it's thinking. All right, so here it is. So here's our final project. And if you followed step by step, then you should get this exact or very, very similar to this one. Again, I encourage you to, if you want to have the up-to-date data, to go to that link in the description that has the most recent data, and they update that, I believe, monthly. So you can go there, get the most recent data, and then you can do stuff and you can create a beautiful project just like this, but with the the most recent data. Again, I use the Kaggle data just so you guys can remember. And I encourage you to look at the different data points that are in the Excel. There is so much in there, and you can use honestly, like there's probably 30 or 40 other fields that you could be using in there that we never even touched. But for this project, we're keeping it pretty simple. And so go do that, make completely unique dashboards and visualizations and create projects and add it to your portfolios so that you can create a fantastic portfolio website and get a job. And that's what this is all about. It's about upskilling and getting these skills that you can, get a job or do better in your job. So I hope this has been helpful. I really appreciate you guys joining me and doing this entire project with me. I have no idea how long this is. This could be like an hour for all I know. So thank you so much for sticking with me this entire time. If you like this video, be sure to like and subscribe below, and I will see you in the next video.